Hello.
And welcome to Makers.dev episode number 100! We did it! We made it. 100 episodes. My fun fact about the number 100. I vaguely remembered some sort of a fact about, if you have a podcast and you publish more than 100 episodes, it means this. But the only thing that I could find is this quote from this random bloggy, spammy website that said, quote, "Successful podcasters are 7.7 times more likely to have published over 100 episodes and 15.8 times more likely to have published over 200 episodes." But I just choked on my oh no. Podcast is unedited, folks.
Yes. The thing I remember, I'll let you catch your breath.
Yes, thank you.
The thing I remember is that Seth Godin will never come on a podcast if it has less than 100 episodes. If he ever gets a podcast request, he says, call me when you reach 100. And
we could call Seth Godin.
That's right.
We could have him on.
He also randomly does things like doesn't go on podcast episodes for years at a time and doesn't respond to comments and stuff. Like he's very, I think, helpfully protective of his time and mental energy. So
gotcha.
But yeah.
Sure. That's a good heuristic to have. Because even if it's a podcast like ours that doesn't really have a ton of listeners, like at least we're hustling, at least we're doing the thing. Cool. I have a lot of stuff to talk about, including another Dude Where's My segment. I've had a very unfortunate, yes,
but awful. Okay.
Yes. So, but we'll get started with how your last 2 weeks have been. What did you get up to over the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's been a couple weeks since I've seen you. I've been working and learning all the things there are to learn. That's going well, but nothing really to report. It's general ramp up stuff. I've been doing Kaggle as well. I'm now on a team, so I'm doing the same Gravity Wave competition. I can't win prizes, but we can win medals, and so there were 4 other people who did not care about prizes, and when teaming up, it helps to be higher than the people you're teaming with, because and I was, and so they're like, I don't care, just let's team up and do well. So so they reached out to me, and so now we're a team, and hopefully we'll do well there. No real insights to share on that yet, because the team is kind of new. But yeah, working on a team is always easier than working in person or in like solo.
Yes.
In terms of doing well. So. Good. Hopefully we do well. Yeah.
What's the motivation for the people who want to team up with you but don't care about the prize? Are these people rich? Do they also work at Google?
No.
Or do they just want a higher chance of winning, and they know that they wouldn't place anyway if they were going individually? Okay.
Correct. Yeah. You often realize, once you are in the competition and realize you're not going to, do well enough solo to get like a gold, then you'll team up even if there's no chance of a prize in order to do it. Like I think 3 of them, or 2 plus me, are looking for more golds to be Grandmaster, and so those become important. I guess I don't know. I think 2 of them are Grandmasters, so I don't know what their motivation is, but they seem very excited to do well without prize money. So, yeah.
Interesting. Maybe they value internet fake points more than money points.
Yeah, you do get internet fake points, and so you can, like, I think I'm 390th or something in all of Kaggle, and so you can go up in those rankings by getting medals. So.
And I guess that has an impact in your career and prestige if you wanted to get hired at a company like Google. It's a feather in your cap to be able to say I'm ranked 390 something on Kaggle. That'd be pretty cool. I'm curious to hear how you're framing the difference between working with this team that you had to select for people who don't care about the prize versus other teams that you've been on that have won gold in the past where people did care about the prize. And I think before it was students internationally that you were working with that were really hustling and putting the hours in. So
yeah,
is this group going to be more relaxed?
They seem to be just as involved. I think in order to do well in Kaggle, you have to put a silly amount of effort in, and so like by the end, especially if you split a prize with, say it's a 10k prize and you split it with 5 people, so you get 2k each. Well, I put way more time than that in, like, if I was going to do consulting, and so it doesn't make much of a difference anyway. Sure. Some of the big ones do, though. Like there's some 100k prizes. Those people probably care a lot more about that.
Sure. Yeah, that could almost be your full-time job then.
Exactly.
Yeah, and for you, I'm sort of framing this as add-on to your master's program that you also sometimes get paid for, that is a free way for you to build experience and be solving these real-world problems. So it would almost make sense for you to be paying them for these sorts of problems and the feedback and being able to work with teams. I could see this if Kaggle didn't exist and this sort of a framework was offered by a university. I could see this as being a selling point for the university of presenting you with these real world problems and giving you this actual industry experience, and the financial result of that being that you're paying the university. So yeah, seems like a good deal all around.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Also, speaking of which, there is a new Kaggle competition, which might be interesting to you or listeners, because it requires no machine learning experience. Every year, Kaggle does an optimization problem instead of like a machine learning problem. And it's always Christmas themed. And so, yeah, this year, like I've submitted, I guess just once, but it just requires regular coding. And if you want to use some machine learning optimization stuff, you can, but yeah, otherwise it's just regular coding and solving a problem. So that one is, okay, so here's the problem. Here's the setup. The elves, the Santa's elves, are printing Christmas cards, and they have a robotic arm. So an 8-link robotic arm.
Okay.
And it has to visit every pixel in the image once to print the pixel.
Okay.
It costs, there's just a cost associated with moving the arm. So every link you move has a cost, and then every time you switch colors, and it's really just the RGB difference between the two pixels that you move from and to, times 3, because there's some scaling factor. Anyway, that's the cost. So you move the arm, you print you switch colors, that's the cost, and it's a fairly complex image. So there's a lot of like ways that you can optimize color cost, and that's it. You have to visit every pixel once to print the image. And then you get a cost out at the end, and you're trying to optimize your cost.
What? That's a fun problem. You said it was an 8-link robotic arm? I don't understand what that means.
Yeah, so there's eight arms stacked on top of each other, and their lengths are 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1, 1. So they get progressively smaller.
Oh, interesting. Okay. There's a word for this problem with robotic arms.
Inverse kinematics is one of them.
I think that's it. Yeah, where there's an infinite number of ways to visit each point in 3-dimensional space as soon as you get over like 3 links or something, and you can sort of visualize this by taking your hand and holding it at a point of space and then like moving your elbow around. Your joints are moving all over the place, but the end result of where the tip of your finger is stays the same.
Yes.
Okay, so this robot arm has 8 links, and there's a cost associated with moving each of the links. Oh man, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And then switching colors, you don't have to like reset to home when you switch a color. There's just a cost for switching the color.
Yeah, it's like if you move from blue to red, that's a really high cost. If you move from blue to a slightly different shade of blue, that's a very low cost.
Yeah.
So like there's gradients in this image, so generally you want to follow the gradient in a way that, you know, there's gradients, then there's hard edges. So it's the pictures of a Christmas tree with like stuff, and so like when you switch from the blue background to the green Christmas tree, that's a really high cost, so you want to avoid that as often as you can.
Okay. And it's a full color image, it's not just red,
Right.
green, and blue. Okay. Oh man, that's a problem, because I could imagine if you have a rare color in the image and there's a cluster of it in the upper left and there's a cluster of it in the lower right, naively I would want to just say list out all the colors. Oh, is there a smaller cost if you ship between colors that are more similar?
Yeah, smaller when you shift between similar colors. There's also, the arm is a little special. You can only move every arm by 1 unit at a time, so it's not like you can move from upper left to lower right in one like swoop. You can only move a little bit at a time. And also, instead of moving in circles, they move in squares, which makes the math easier, but it means that the arms telescope in kind of a weird way. It's a little unintuitive, but it actually makes the problem a little easier to code up. So because you don't have to do like trigonometry and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
What a problem. Okay.
So yeah, if you want to get Nerd Snipe, check it out.
I think it's important for me to forget that you mentioned this problem, because I could totally see myself just diving into it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to launch a company, Chris. Come on. trying to make actual real world dollars instead of Kaggle points.
If it helps, I thought this problem would be easy, and it turns out it's really, really not. And so
I can imagine a bunch of different ways this would be complicated. Like, I think the naive thing I'm gonna want to do is like sort the colors in some dimension, lightest to darkest, or clusters of red, green, and blue, or something that sort of minimizes the cost between shifting through the colors, and then start in the upper left or wherever the robot arm is closest to, and then for each segment of the image, and I'm not sure how I would figure out the segment of the image, color in all the colors that are in that cluster, and then move to the next segment. And then once you've gone through the whole image in that cluster, then switch to the next color and then go backwards through the whole thing, and then do that for however many chunks of colors there are. So you have to figure out a way to chunk the colors and to chunk the segments of the image. But chunking the segments of the image would also depend on the image. What the best strategy of doing that is. It's a static image. This is not
Right.
like solve this generally. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Oh man. Okay. Yeah. That's a hard problem. That's interesting. I'm reminded of the XKCD comic that talks about how unintuitive it is for non-technical people to understand what hard problems in computer science are and what easy problems are in computer science. I think it's two different panels. The first panel is something like make an app to figure out if you're in a national park or not.
Yep.
And that's easy because you just get all the data for the GPS coordinates for the national parks and then check your GPS coordinate and then see if you're inside any of those. And then the second problem was like figure out if a picture is a picture of a bird, which since that comic has been released, that has since become an easy problem.
Yep.
So this is a hard problem. This is difficult. And it would be easy, I think, if you weren't like trying to think through it, to just sort of hand wave like, oh well, you just write some sort of an algorithm to paint it. But okay, yes, but what is the algorithm? How are you doing that? Well, that's cool. So you're gonna try for it. You're gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in 30th out of 400th place or something right now, and I don't know. I'm spending more time in the Gravity Waves competition, so we'll see. But the Gravity Wave ends before this one. I think the Santa competition ends in middle of January or something, so okay. I may spend a little more time on that. But the other reason it's kind of nice, especially for beginners, to Kaggle, is because you don't there is no leaderboard shifting afterwards, because when you get the answer, like that's just the answer. There's no private or public leaderboard.
Interesting.
And so so it's like there's no possibility that you'll like shift up or down after the competition ends.
That's also tough though, because there's one solution. There is the most. So
yes, but so this is actually a variant of the traveling salesman problem.
Okay.
So traveling salesman, you have to visit every single node once, and or more than once, I guess. And there's a cost associated between moving between nodes. Traveling salesman is known to be not solvable, or NP hard, right? And or NP complete. I always forget the difference between the two. But anyway, so there is an optimal solution, but it's probably not solvable. And so you just have to get as close as possible to the optimal solution.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Do they know the optimal solution, or do they think they know the optimal? Okay.
Nope.
So they're just gonna look for the number of steps, and then the minimum step wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that sounds fun. What's the prize for that if you win that?
10 grand for the first 4 places.
10 grand.
Yeah.
You'd be passing up 10 grand if you win.
That's true, but I'm not going to get the first 4 places, I can guarantee it. So.
What would happen if you did? Would they pass it on to the 5th place winner?
Yeah, so technically I have to decline the prize, and then it goes to the next place.
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Huh. All right, cool. Christmas is also coming up. Anything you're thinking about for Christmas other than AI or non-AI competitions on Kaggle?
No, yeah, we're prepping for that. We're just going to be traveling. We put up all our decorations and everything, but we also, so after Halloween, we put away all our decorations except for one. We bought a new 5-foot skeleton this year and left it outside, but I didn't have a Halloween box for it. We put all our Halloween stuff in like these orange tubs, and by the time we cleaned it up, all the stores had moved on from Halloween to Christmas, so I can't get a Halloween box anymore. So the skeleton's just sitting in our foyer right now, and he has a Christmas hat on, so he's become a Christmas skeleton. We'll see how long he stays
skeleton.
there.
Yeah, perfect. Just keep him up year round. Just every holiday, just swap out a hat or something, and you're good to go.
Yeah.
No need for a box.
You can also like see him if you come to the door. So like people who come to the door, like I open it and there's like a skeleton behind me. Yeah.
It's funny that like during the month of October, having having certain types of items in your house is just sort of normal and festive. And then at any other time of the year, it's very concerning.
Yeah, it becomes a little weird at some point.
Are you a science teacher?
That's right.
Is this a relative of yours? What's
we
going
also
on?
My daughter also got a little unicorn skeleton to go with him, so he has a little pet. so we have a little unicorn skeleton as well.
That's good. That's good. I would love to talk about another entry into my series of misfortunate events.
Excellent or awful. I don't know what it is yet. We'll see.
It's gonna be a wild ride.
All right.
It's called Dude, Where's My Email List? Oh. So I can't remember what I was doing of how I discovered this. Oh no, I was trying to log into my email list, which is self-hosted. It's using this thing called Sendy, which is a PHP app you can buy for $70. And then you have to self-host it. So you have to set up a VPS, you have to set up a Postgres database, and then you install it and set up a domain name and then connect it to your Amazon SES account. And now you have ConvertKit or MailChimp, but it costs you almost nothing. It costs you just the price of the VPS, and then Amazon SES costs almost nothing. It's a thousandth of a penny for like a million emails or something ridiculous. So I was logging into it because I was talking with Sarah about ways that I could be doing more lead gen on consulting jobs. So I was thinking, oh, this would be nice to like send out an email to my personal email list that I've been cultivating for, the last 10 years or something ridiculous. Because I think there's about 1,000 people on that list. And so, those are people who are familiar with who I am. And so I can send out an email and say, if you have any jobs that I could do, and I'd like to talk to you. So I load up the URL and it's just infinitely loading. And I'm thinking, that's not good. Well, this has happened before. Sometimes it just crashes. And it's unfortunate because, my clips.marketing, now the video clipper email list is also connected to the same system on the same VPS. So, this kind of sucks. I may have missed out on a few days of people trying to sign up for it. But, whatever. That would be 2 or 3 emails. So it sucks, but it's fine. Here's what I'll do, because I've done this before. I just SSH into the VPS, and I just run my command to restart it, which is going to restart Nginx and restart the Sendy app, and we'll be good to go. Oh, and it'd be kind of nice if I set up some sort of a notice so that if it went down again in the future, it would just automatically restart. And then we'll be on our merry way. However, when I try to SSH into it, that's not working. And I think, oh no. So the plot thickens. So I think, well, okay, no problem, because this has happened before. And all I need to do is log into my VPS provider called ChunkHost, which is a company I've been with for over a decade. I have a 25% site-wide forever discount with any VPS I have with them. It's cheaper by far than anything else. It's like, I don't know, like 60% the cost of Linode or DigitalOcean or something. I have a whole bunch of VPSs with them. I think I have like 5 images or 5 servers. And so I know what to do next. I just log into ChunkHost, and then I say restart this chunk, and then they call their virtual images chunks because it's ChunkHost. Restart this chunk, and then once it's rebooted, I'll be able to SSH into it, and then we're good to go. Then I restart it. So I log in and I hit restart, and it restarts. Great. And then I go back and I try to log in, and it doesn't work. And I think, oh no. And then I notice one of my other chunks is also in the same sort of limbo position where it says it's running, but it's not actually. And this is one that runs File Inbox, the old legacy one. Yeah. So I'm thinking, and they're in it shows you the area geographically where they're both in the LAX2 area of servers. So I checked the other LAX2 one for File Inbox, and that one's also down. And I think, oh no. And I remember getting a notification on my phone about a week ago that said that server had gone down from Cloudflare, because I do load balancing between two. The whole site didn't go down because I've sort of been through this situation before where like one of them goes down. So it's automatically switching to the other one, but now the other one's working twice as hard. So this is like not a good position to be in. But okay, weird that both of these things aren't working. And then there's a third one that's also down, and I'm thinking, oh no, in the same sort of way. But one of them is still up. So out of the 4 or 5 virtual servers I have on this platform, I think 3 of them are down, and one of them is up, and then one of them is in this weird state where I tried to start it, but it didn't start. And I remembered emailing support about it like months ago, and it's still there. Okay, that's weird. Okay, no problem. because they have really good support. I remember from a year or two ago when I emailed them, and I'll just email them and say, hey, something's wrong. Can you please fix it? I don't know what's going on, but it's nothing I can control. So I send them an email. And then I think, let me just dig into this a little bit more. Let me like check on Twitter, make sure they're still active on Twitter. So I check on Twitter, and they haven't posted in like years. And I think, oh no. and then I search, okay, who are people who have messaged Chunkhost? And the top tweet I see that just, it just my stomach sank. It said something along the lines of like, hey, if you're on Chunkhost, apparently the company shut down and they're not answering emails and they haven't responded to me in weeks. And I think, oh God. And then I start thinking through, like, how is this happening to me again? Like, first it happened with this BlockFi thing, and that really hurt. That was, 20% of our life savings. It sucks. However, it's money, and you can just make more money, right? Like, it's not good that this happened, but it's a dollar is a dollar. But this is an email list that I can't get back. Like, I can get new people on it, but I can't get back the list and it's also my launch list for the video clipper. And then I just start spiraling, and I was on the floor, just like, I punched a box at one point, and Sarah's there trying to console me, and she's like, I've never seen you this upset. I'm like, why didn't you get this upset about the money? And I was like, you don't understand. Like, you can't get this back. But I take, I don't know, like half an hour just laying on the floor, and then I'm like, okay, it's okay. Here's what I can do. Some of the people who were on the video clipper launch list have emailed me back. So I can go through my emails and, just like one by one extract their email address. So from that, I'm able to get about half of the list back. I think I have something like 70 people on it total. I'm able to get about 35 people back. So I think, okay, this does suck, but it's not as bad as it could have been. And like, honestly, if I figure out some sort of a flow of if I'm buying a Google ad or if I have SEO and get more people in, like, 35 emails is small potatoes. So okay, I can kind of shift to that. But like, oh man, this personal email list from my blog, like, I don't even know how many people were on there, and I have no idea how to get those back. Like, I've emailed some of them sort of sporadically, but that's going to be a whole project in itself. So then I start thinking, like, okay, how could I spin this to be? I could post about this on Twitter and ask people to please sign up for my personal email address if they weren't signed up to it before. I could go through like all my personal contacts and try to add people manually, but like, oh man, this sucks. So I start doing some sleuthing. I'm like, I really, really need this list back, and I'm kicking myself because the list was stored on like a self-hosted within the VPS Postgres database. And I was just thinking, oh, if I had only hosted it somewhere else that did backups, that wasn't, but then, there's nothing on the server. And then I start thinking, like, how many other things like this in my life could I lose? What else is there that's gonna be taken from me in this way that, like, I haven't appreciated enough to be doing backups of? So I made a whole list that includes things like my Google Photos library. You would be useful for this. So I need to figure out some way of downloading my whole Google Photos library, in case every once in a while I read about the story on Hacker News that someone loses access to their whole Google account. So like, okay, that would really hurt if I lost that. So I got to set that up. Also email, also my calendar, also all my databases for all my apps. Like, I'm not confident that I have backups for all these. So I'm really working to do this sort of anti-fragile, how do I emerge from this stronger? One of the other things that comes up is my Tesla is underinsured. Like, if I personally just crash my car into a pole, I just lose the car. Nothing happens. So I had tried to figure out on the app how much more would it cost if I wanted this insurance, and it was like a lot. It was like, something like $100 a month to insure the car. So I was like, oh, that kind of hurts. But in talking with Sarah about this, Sarah was like, well, let's try to bundle the insurance, and we'll just get a quote. And when you bundle it between two people living in the same household and they're married, like, things get cheaper. So we talked to a woman on the phone, and she's able to bundle it and get me full coverage for the same amount that Sarah and I were paying individually before. So that's amazing. Nice. So that, like, okay, I've emerged from this stronger. But this whole time I'm just thinking, like, oh, this sucks. Like, I hate that I lost this whole email address, the whole email list. So fast forward to yesterday. I've built this small coalition of people who have also lost data on Chunkhost, and we're doing some sleuthing. We're like looking up in Canadian phone books the names of people, because they don't have a list on the website of, like, this is the CEO. It's real sketchy, and they have a phone number, but the phone number they list is this Google Voice number that got disconnected. So I'm like, oh man, how long has this been going on? This sucks. And we're able to track down the current owner through, like, man, I was calling people's phone numbers. I was getting ready to send them letters. Anyone who had a name that matched any of the names that any of us had gotten emails from, we were all tweeting to try to get stuff back. And eventually one of them responds. And he doesn't respond to me. He responds to somebody else. But then the other guy lets me know. And so then I'm thinking, okay, well, what do I need to do? Like, he fixed your problem, but what do I do for mine? And I go to log in, and it works. The Sendy instance had come back online, and in the meantime I had like set up a new one and reconnected them so people signing up would do it. But I was able to get the whole list back for all of my lists, and there were some that I didn't even remember that I'd done. Like there was a email list that I'd done for Genko School, which is a learn to code course that I've been horribly neglecting since 2020. But in the process of doing this and revisiting it, I realized, a lot of the emails on this list are fake. It's just a random hash for the name. So that's interesting. I need to enable double opt-in for this. And also, I'm in this new state of appreciation of, I have this email list that I haven't emailed in forever of people that have signed up to hear updates about me and what I'm building. But what a neglected opportunity for this medium, unlike Twitter or Facebook, where the company owns my audience. I totally own this audience for email. So I have two things that I would love to implore you to do. The first is, please back up everything that you don't want to lose. Just think about that. Like, go through an audit if you lost access to a thing, and then go through and actually back it up. And the second thing is to appreciate what you have, specifically in relation to email lists. Like, this is an incredible thing that I feel like I was only able to appreciate because I lost it and then I got it back. And I'm thinking much more about how I would like to, like, what my email strategy I would like to be, and are there like automations, what's the friction in me sending out an email, and how can I lower that as much as possible? But it was an incredible gift to get it back, and it was harrowing, and I feel like I've learned a lot about how I would like to be insuring myself against this sort of loss in the future. So that's my story.
Yeah, good story. I remember Patty O'Levin at several microcomps saying, like, how many of you have backups? How many of you test your backups?
Yep.
Then you don't have backups.
Yep.
So yes, test your backups. I am guilty of the same things. I'm sure I have lots of email lists and other random things, like Heroku shutting down all of the free things recently.
Yeah.
I caught it because Colleen posted something on Twitter like, Heroku shut down all the things and won't let you get your data. I was like, oh no. So because I had meant to do that, so I went there, and there were lots of warnings like, you have to upgrade in order to get your data. I was like, okay, I could pay the whatever to upgrade this dyno, but that means they still have my data. So I went and dug into the menus and eventually found an export.
Nice.
So I didn't have to upgrade before I got all my data.
Oh, and you could export to, so they just had like a hosted database, and you were just able to export the database directly.
Yeah, a dump of it.
That's
yeah.
great.
But you had to go through multiple menus of like warnings that your data is already gone and stuff. But now that doesn't work anymore. They actually deleted it now. It was like a few days where that worked.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Some people are in for a shock.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I think they still have the data, but now you have to actually pay for it to come out of hibernation or whatever.
Yeah. Okay.
Perhaps. Anyway, yes. I also resonate with the car insurance stuff. We had insurance on our car, but so my wife was driving the van. This is a while ago, and someone turned left right in front of her and couldn't do anything, smashed into it. So it was all the other person's fault. And we got a new car out of it, like they paid for it. But I remember not checking a box that said something like, if you have a total loss, we'll give you 20% more than the value of your car. And I was like, nah, this is like $5 a month. I'm not doing that, or $10 a month or something. So now both of my cars have that box checked.
Nice.
Because like, yes, it's more money, but at the time it would have been really nice to get, I don't know, whatever, $6,000 or whatever.
For sure. Yeah.
$4,000 or something. So yeah, I mean, you kind of don't learn this stuff until it happens to you.
Yeah.
But for anyone listening, here are some warnings. Yeah.
Please learn from our mistakes. And like, I've heard that, like, I was there when Patty O'Levin talked about the backup thing, right? And I remember thinking like, oh, I should do that at some point. That was
6 years later.
Ago. Yeah. So another dimension of this is I'm not backing up any of the stuff I'm doing in Firebase, and that's a problem. So yeah, I need to, this has bumped way up my to-do list. I have the code that I would need to be automatically exporting backups. And the way that that works is it takes snapshots of the Firestore database and I can put it in Google Cloud Storage. But that's not enough. I need to be able to test, like, can I actually restore from this? And I want a local backup for something to be for something as important as an application database. I want it to be in at least 3 places. There's the live version, there's the backup on Google Cloud, and then I want like on my hard drive, even if it's a 10 gigabyte file, whatever. I want a whole backup, a daily backup that I know that I can restore from. I want to be testing the restores. And then once it's on my laptop, I have a Time Machine backup to an encrypted drive locally, and then I also have Backblaze. So, like, if something is on my laptop, it exists. It'd be very, very difficult to lose that. So more things in that category need to be brought into this safe space of living on my computer or on the external hard drive.
Which you mentioned Photos. Google Photos does have a supported way to do this. It's called Google Photos Takeout, or Google Takeout generally.
Yes.
And it's a way to take your data out of Google. And that's why it's called Takeout.
Here's my question on that, though. That, I think, is just a periodic thing. What I would love is to be able to rsync all my photos and then just run that daily.
Yes. So,
oh no.
There is no supported way to do that.
Okay.
Hint, not supported. Look for non-supported ways, maybe.
Oh. Okay.
I didn't say that. Yeah, no. There's no supported way to do that with the API anyway.
Yeah.
But if you have your username and password, like, that's better than an API because that's your username and password. So there's no supported way to do that.
Okay. Oh no. What a shame. Yeah, I want to do that with Google Photos. I want to do that with Gmail. I've taken the whole Google Takeout snapshots, but I don't know, the last one I did was probably 3 years ago. Yeah. So for something to exist and for me to feel safe that I'm not going to lose it, I want it backing up automatically without me thinking about it to my external hard drive, which is going to get backed up to all these other places too. Cool. Okay. I was reminded of the book Anti-Fragile by, I think it's Nassim Taleb.
Taleb, right? Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That, like, when bad things happen, when you get hurt, you can have 2 responses to it. You can either just be broken for the rest of your life and it's only worse, or you can become stronger because of that. And, the bad thing happening to you was actually much better. In the same way that, if you lift weights, that's a stress, that's a negative event on your muscles, but they emerge from that stronger. And then the next time you can lift a lot more. So that's the framing I'd like to have with this. And it is just a cherry on top that I got the data back. That just feels like an incredible gift. So yeah, that feels really good. All right. Hopefully we can save someone else listening to this podcast that they can avoid the same sort of agony for, man, it was like a week and a half. I just thought I'd lost the whole thing. It sucked. Cool. So I have updates for FileInbox, updates for the Video Clipper, and then updates on the cruise that I just got back from. That's the reason why we didn't record last week.
Nice.
On FileInbox, so there were 2 servers that I had on Chunkhost that were hosting the FileInbox app. One of them went down, the other one was still up. So to make a new server, I used this self-hosted Heroku called Doku, where you install it and then you can just get pushed to it as if it was Doku. And then I have a whole SOP for, like, how to set up one of those files. It took like 2 hours, but I set those up on Linode and DigitalOcean. So and then I shut down the 2 things on Chunkhost. So I'm not relying on Chunkhost anymore for that, because of the next time it goes down, like it might come up maybe in 2 weeks if you can track down who the person is. So that's nice. And then I also fixed a small UI bug that was on the homepage that I feel kind of embarrassed about. I have a video tutorial on the homepage, and if you visit it on mobile, for like the last 3 or 4 years, it was ridiculous. That video was like really squished. It was messing up the aspect ratio. So I finally fixed that. And I had seen that like, I don't know, a dozen times. I thought, I'm going to fix that. Let me add it to my to-do list. And it just never got done. So in the process of like pushing again at these apps, that got done. So that felt good. And then the Video Clipper. Okay, so I have some first small product update. I'm now able to, well, it took a lot of work, it's not small. I'm now able to do custom colors and custom fonts and embed graphics on the image. So cool. Like the product of being able to generate these social media optimized clips is basically done. There's no interface to change it yet, but I think I can get away with launching it just like it is. I've got like maybe 2 more days of technical updates to that, which I think I can finish this week. And then I think I do a soft launch of that where the videos are watermarked. And then before the 26th is my self-imposed deadline, I would like to have a way that people can pay me money. So that's coming up. It's the 13th right now. So in 10 more days, I think I can do it. So that feels good from a technical standpoint. And then I have 2 marketing things that I'd like to talk with you about. So the first is SEO and paid ads. I am going through this sort of like personal coaching session with a customer success person at SEMrush. Fantastic. It's been really nice. He like teaches you how to use the tool and also is working through specifically for your project. Like, you know, he researches your competitors for you and shows you, okay, here's how you find these sorts of keywords. And the game that he seems to be playing for me is finding high traffic, low difficulty keywords that are related to with a high intent to try to use my product. And he defines high traffic
is this
as
for video? Sorry, is this for Video Clipper or File Inbox? Or
the
both?
Video Clipper. Although going through this, I also really want to do this for File Inbox. So I'm wondering, like, do I cancel my account and then sign up again and then do it for File Inbox?
Right.
Just wear a Groucho Marx glasses or something. Yeah. So that's been really interesting. He defines high traffic as 200 hits per month and less than 50 keyword difficulty, and I'm not quite sure what keyword difficulty is. I think that's just like an internal metric, like a score that they give things. And that's hard because that's in this Goldilocks zone of like, if a term has high traffic, a lot of other people notice it has high traffic too, and then it's much higher keyword difficulty. And if a keyword has low difficulty, it usually has very low traffic. So trying to find something that's high traffic and low keyword difficulty is difficult. But I think that's just going to look like, he showed me these methods of you look through all your competitors, you look for the keywords that they're ranking for, those go into this giant bucket of keywords that you could potentially be searching for. You look through all those and try to see, do any of these fit this criteria? If not, you can find related keywords to those keywords by branching off in one extra step, and then from those maybe there's more niche keywords that still have high volume and low traffic. So that's an interesting game. And I in going through this process, I'm sort of struck by how the tool feels kind of complicated for the job it's trying to do for me, similar to Ahrefs. Have you used a tool like this, like a keyword research tool that shows you keywords for what people are ranking for?
Maybe for like an hour total. But yes, I know what you're talking
about. The general way this tool works is you type in either a competitor's website, and then that shows you a list of the keywords that they rank for. Or you can type in a keyword, or you can click on one of the keywords that they rank for. And then the keyword view shows you the amount of traffic, related keywords, keyword difficulty for each of these things. And it just shows it as a spreadsheet. But going through this, I was thinking I would love some sort of graph for this. I'd love to see a graph of just, keyword difficulty versus traffic. And then I can see clusters of, okay, in the bottom or what, I don't know, in the top right corner cluster of keywords. That's what I want to be going for. Right now it's going through a lot of spreadsheets and I don't like that, but I'm not going to start a new project. I'm not going to do that, Chris. I'm focused on File Inbox and the Video Clipper.
I'd be surprised if they don't have some kind of graph view. I don't know, maybe it's worth asking.
Well, I think you're surprised that they do have some graphs. They have some, but it's basic stuff just showing, you can compare 2 different competitors and see what the percent overlay of keywords is that they both have in common, and the size of the bubble is, it's a Venn diagram, and the size of each of the circles is like the total number of, the total traffic that each of those sites gets.
Can you download the data as a CSV or something?
Yes. So what I might do, without turning this into a whole project, I'm not going to do that, is just download that CSV and then figure out, because plotting it on an XY graph from 2 variables, that's a pretty straightforward.
Yeah, that's not hard.
Yeah.
Not hard in quotes.
Not hard. Unlike the
Santa problem.
AI, the Santa drawing problem. Yes, this seems like it's actually not hard. Graphing things based on 2 numbers is a solved problem and has been for a while. Right. Any thoughts on this SEO strategy? I think So I think the next step is keep doing what he's telling me to do. Find some keywords that are low difficulty, high traffic, and then build pages for those, and then also juice them with some ads. And then I can start doing that now, because if people land on my landing page and sign up for my email list, like that's worth it to me. And then I can also start gauging the traffic from it. What are your thoughts on this SEO paid ad strategy?
A couple thoughts. Sounds pretty good. My first thought was, if you thought GPT was good at creating keyword ads, I bet ChatGPT is even better.
Oh, interesting.
So that
like
might
for
be
the
a
actual
good
ad copy.
Yeah, ad copy and keyword ideas. Like maybe there's similar keyword ideas that SEMrush isn't like showing to you that ChatGPT would, and then from there you could branch off in the SEMrush tool.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's one.
Oh no, Chris, that's the angle. Okay, here's what we're not going to do. Just an idea for a company. You make a competitor to Ahrefs and SEMrush that integrates ChatGPT or GPT-3, and you do these graphs, and you just. So it's like a really complicated tool. There's a whole bunch of different pages, and there's a reason why there's this onboarding expert showing me how to use all these different tools and the different sorts of lists. So the tool that you make is just the input is just your website URL and the URL of a bunch of your competitors, and then the output of it is these are the keywords you should make. Let me cluster them together for you. These are the pages you should have, and
here's copy for them.
And here's copy. Yeah, hit this button to write an article that would rank on this. I think that would make the internet worse, because you'd have a lot more of this like blog spam stuff, but that's how they do it.
The other thing I saw recently was that OpenAI used their own GPT tool to try to guess, I think I have some of the details wrong, but try to guess whether something was written by ChatGPT or not. And it got it right like 99.9% of the time.
Interesting.
So currently, do not use prose straight out of ChatGPT for articles, because surely Google, or like search engines are going to deprioritize that content, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And right now it's very easy, apparently, to tell the difference.
Interesting. What a real world consequence of plagiarism. I feel like up until now you've been heavily reported for plagiarizing things. This is a small aside, but I can't remember if we've talked about this, there's a hot take that I heard about all the OpenAI GPT-3 stuff, that they are really well positioned to replace Google, because on Google you try to search for something and now it's going to be clogged up with all this blog spam generated by GPT-3. So GPT-3 is making Google worse, and at the same time with stuff like ChatGPT, where you can just have a conversation with someone and they just answer your question as if you're talking to a really smart human, that is becoming a much better alternative that can sift through all this immense amounts of data and just give you the answer that you were looking for. So I think that's really interesting. This feels like sort of what Siri and Alexa and Google Home have been trying to do, to have something at this level of intelligence that you can just have a conversation with, and it just gives you the answer to your question.
Yeah. So yes, but there was a public comment about an internal Google talk that happened at one of these internal Google conferences things. And basically the comment mentioned that right now it is about 100 times more expensive to serve a ChatGPT request than it is a Google search result.
Interesting.
So they would have to get 100 times more ad revenue in order to make ads work, which seems extraordinarily difficult.
Google's also extremely profitable. Do they not have... I'd be surprised if they didn't already have a 100x margin.
So Google may be able to do it, right? But if OpenAI is trying to grow into that, growing from zero to that, seems extraordinarily difficult. So that's one thing. The other is that ChatGPT is often very confidently incorrect. Which is really bad if you want to be a search engine that says, wants to, surface the truth, or surface true things. Very bad to be confidently incorrect. So until they solve that, I don't see it replacing the factual part of Google. Creative stuff, sure, like using ChatGPT as like a riff kind of thing. Awesome. But trying to get facts out of it is impossible.
I had a moment of that when I was just playing with it, trying to solve this bug in FFmpeg rendering. There's a node library I'm using called Fluent FFmpeg. It's a node wrapper for all the things that you can do in FFmpeg, and I was trying to escape special characters when I use a function called draw text, which lets you draw text in the image. So I noticed that quote wasn't working, and parentheses wasn't working, and a few other things. Excuse me. And so I Googled. Oh my gosh, I didn't Google. I chat GPT'd.
They need to come up with a different name.
Yeah. I GPT'd. I asked ChatGPT. I don't know how to say that. I searched on I was talking to ChatGPT. I was chatting to Chat. I chatted ChatGPT. I don't know what to say. We'll workshop it.
Yeah, sure.
How do you escape special characters in Fluent FFmpeg? And it responded as if I was talking to a person. Like, it said, if you're trying to escape special characters in Fluent FFmpeg, you just import the escape function from Fluent FFmpeg. And it printed out an example, and it said, import escape from Fluent FFmpeg, and then had the draw text function. And then before it had the text, it called this escape function. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's perfect. What great design. That's so intuitive. That's exactly what I would have expected. And I tried it, and it said, cannot find the function escape. And I said, that's weird. Let me Google for it. Maybe they've changed it since the version, because I know ChatGPT is working with old information. And I searched for it, and it just doesn't exist. Yeah, ChatGPT just made it up. A very plausible sounding answer that probably should be the way that they are doing this. But yeah, I thought it was funny. So I ended up having to do this ridiculous. Oh my gosh, I had to escape. So the backslash character, if it was in the string, had to be escaped with, I think it was 16 backslashes. I had to do a find and replace for any backslash. Tweet. It was ridiculous. It's the most number of escapes I've ever had to do. Which I guess there's like 4 layers of escaping I had to do, because every time you escape, it cuts the number by half. So just to go from JavaScript, a JavaScript string, to just the raw backslash characters, you have to do a double backslash. So it goes immediately from 16 to 8.
Double from 1 to
yeah. So it was funny to me that there were that many layers of indirection.
That is hilarious.
I've gone down several rabbit holes with you. ChatGPT. Popping all the way back up. Use ChatGPT to figure out keywords, and also help me write the initial version of the blog post for each of these keywords. So ad copy, keyword research, ad copy, and also the blog post. I think that's all good ideas.
So that's thought number 1. Thought number 2 is that whatever this SEMrush guy is telling you, it will keep you on SEMrush. Like, his job is to make you make SEMrush useful to you.
Yes.
That may not be the best thing to do for Video Clipper, especially since you are one person and you don't have a team doing this stuff. A team can always go back to the tool and find new whatever, but you may want to use it once and 6 months later use it again. So just be watchful for that. Whatever he's telling you is to make you happy with the tool, not
and that's something I told him even in the very first meeting, that I felt like this was a tool that I might just use once and then use again. But he sort of showed me that there's some of these features that can track more data, that if I have an account, I can track historical data on my competitors, and I can track historical data on the keywords and rankings. But I don't know that I care about that, especially it's not a cheap product. I think it's $100 or $120 a month or something. So absolutely makes sense as long as I'm having these weekly coaching calls with him. And I'm planning on having a frank conversation with him about look, here's where I'm at, and I really appreciate what you've been doing, and I think this is a really good product, but I don't see a reason to keep paying for it for the next 6 months until I need to check on this stuff again, and then see what he says. I think once I hit that 10K MRR mark, $100 a month is not going to feel nearly as big. But it's interesting from a product perspective on their end that how do you continue to deliver this much value every month?
Yeah. I mean, I think as soon as you have someone looking at it more than twice a month or once a month or whatever, that's when it's worth it. So that might be you, or it might be later down the line when you hire either an assistant or a full-time person or something.
Yeah, makes sense. Cool. Okay, all of that was this marketing strategy of both SEO and AdWords. They're both sort of related. And I have there's a few different marketing strategies I'm thinking about doing. I could do direct outreach. I think that's an interesting thing to think about. I can be having sort of this viral marketing thing where there's a consumer product where just fans of a podcast can be clipping videos, and then eventually the podcast is going to see, oh, that's interesting. We got a whole bunch of engagement from this video that has this watermark. What's this thing that they're using? And the one that I'm thinking about today is conferences. And I just started thinking about this like earlier this week, so this isn't fully fleshed out, but I have been going to these conferences sort of as a customer of the conference. Like when I go to MicroConf, I'm trying to learn the things that they're trying to teach me. I'm directly in the audience of MicroConf, and I've noticed there are people at MicroConf who are trying to sell things to me, like copywriters or like SEO experts or that sort of thing. Ahrefs has been a sponsor of MicroConf for a while. Stripe sells things to me. And Sarah pointed out, like, why am I going to these conferences where I'm the customer when I could be going to conferences where I'm the person selling to those customers? And that's one of the things that got me really excited about focusing on the video clipper is I would be excited to go to a conference of video creators. So I did a little bit of research today on YouTuber conferences and creator conferences. One of them is Craft and Commerce by Nathan Barry of ConvertKit. That's a conference that I'd be excited to go to, that I think would have a lot of people who are making videos who would fit this audience directly. I think the biggest one is called VidCon, and VidCon is at the same, it's YouTubers and it's also fans of the YouTube channel, so that would get mixed up a little bit. But I imagine I'd be bumping into some mid-range YouTubers who would like this sort of strategy. And yeah, so I think in thinking about conferences this way, the only calculation I need to make is the one in Traction, which is what's my customer acquisition cost, including my time going to this thing and the hotel and the conference ticket, and can I get enough customers based on their lifetime value, LTV? Can I get enough customers from this to justify the expense? If I can go to one of these conferences and get 10 new customers for $100 a month, that's $1,200 a year. Is that right? No,
$12,000.
$12,000 a year. Oh yeah. Hold on. No, it's going to be much less than that. Okay, if I'm assuming people are going to churn after a year, which would be an exceptionally high churn rate, and I think going to one of these conferences is going to cost like, I don't know, $2,000. I think I would just need 1,200. I think I would just need two customers, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, that's the first time I've thought. That's the first time I thought through that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think of course I could do that, and then throw one more in there for like, I don't know, my time at the conference, and I'm going to be enjoying myself, like meeting new people, and you know, I could probably meet Mr. Beast or something. That'd be kind of cool. Yeah. So that's marketing strategy number 2 that I'm thinking about today. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a neat, cool thing to try, especially like Craft and Commerce, which I think that's more writing than videos, but there are video creators there, I think. But you would enjoy just going. And so even if you got no customers, I think it'd be interesting. I've even thought about going to that conference before just because I thought it would be neat to go.
Yeah.
That was back before I had a job, I guess. Now I have a job. But VidCon, my understanding is that's more like CES, like it's enormous and there's tons of people. Like maybe it would be interesting. I have no idea if it would be fruitful or not. Try it. There's a really great talk. This is more for enterprise sales, I guess, but there's a really great talk by someone from Y Combinator, and I can't remember. Oh, it's the person who does Segment. Is that the right Segment.io? And he talks about how to go to conferences. And this is for enterprise stuff, but he says don't go to conferences and just like walk around. If you're going to conferences, first of all, if it's small enough, you can like be a sponsor and get the attendee list before you go. Now that obviously does not apply to VidCon,
right?
But, to other smaller ones maybe. And then you can email those people, try to set up meetings. And so that's how you sell at conferences. You set up as many meetings as possible. I saw this happen at HIMSS as well, which is the healthcare conference, and that's as big as CES. Well, not maybe as big as CES, but it's huge. But by my boss emailing a whole bunch of people before the event, he set up meetings like all day, every day. And that works extraordinarily well. Just walking around or even having a booth, like almost nothing, but pre-setting up meetings was the way to go. So
that's a great tip. Okay, I'd like to check that out. Yeah, because I haven't really thought about conferences from a sales perspective of how do I directly convert people at this conference to be able to sell to them. I went to the MicroConf local in Austin, I think a week and a half ago, and there were 2 happenstantial conversations that I had with people where I was just telling them about the video clipper, and they were like, "Oh, I have a YouTube channel and I would love to use that." So it's been interesting having something that. Having a product that I feel like more closely aligns with this sort of person that I like interacting with anyway. I don't think well, in all the years that I was talking about File Inbox, I think I may have had 3 or 4 conversations with people where they said they might be interested in using it, and I don't know that I could directly attribute actually getting a customer from that. So yeah, that feels good. You mentioned also that VidCon is huge, which it is, and in just doing a little bit of research for this, I found something like a dozen different conferences. One of them is Vid Summit, which is actually in Dallas, which I think is just the YouTubers. It's not the fans. And it's a much more expensive conference, but I feel like that would be much higher ROI. Like looking at this, it's a $900 ticket, but that's one person. if I can sell one person on the $100 a month video clipper service, then okay, that pays for my ticket, and then anything else on top of that would be gravy. Also Playlist Live, Content Marketing World looks really interesting because the video clipper is a content marketing strategy. I think that'd be fun. You know what's also going to be interesting is like going to a conference where I feel like sort of an outsider with a special skill set than everyone else. Going to MicroConf, I feel like, oh, well, I know how to make apps and I do it in React and Next, but these other people are doing it in whatever, PHP and Laravel or Ruby on Rails or something, but we're all sort of living in the same world. Whereas if I go to one of these conferences of content creator people and I just say that I know how to code, like that's going to be weird. That's going to be interesting. I feel like I could be making more valuable connections, and so feels like I'm on the right track. Anything else in the strategy of conferences?
No, I mean, I would just try. I would try small and inexpensive first, but if you just want to go to VidCon to go, like that's fine too. But
VidCon tickets are surprisingly cheap, especially if you're just going as like a fan. I think it was under $100 for a ticket. Craft and Commerce also, it's a early bird special, I think, and that was like a $200 ticket.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It used to be more expensive. I wonder if COVID made everyone lower their prices.
Interesting.
I just went to a holiday party, the first in-person holiday party for this local indie, Indianapolis group, and there usually was like 200 people there, and there was maybe 100. So like,
wow, interesting.
Like just less people are going to stuff.
Yeah. Huh. That's actually a really good segue into the last thing I want to talk about.
All right.
I have been on a cruise for the last week.
Yes.
And cruise is also impacted by this whole COVID thing.
Are you sick yet?
Every single person got sick. Oh
no.
I came with it was like 20 people. Ridiculous. My sister was the one who spearheaded this, and it started with just like siblings, and then that extended to parents, and then extended to all significant others, and then also cousins and aunt and uncle, and 20 people total. And I think everyone got sick. I made it one of the longest. Sarah and I got sick like later on in the trip, but it was cool. Like it's still fun being on a cruise even when you're sick. Like the food's still really good. You just go to bed a little earlier. And I really liked things that I would like to copy from my cruise life into my real life are just having good, interesting food available without having to think about it. That's still something I feel like I haven't totally solved in my life. And just being around family all the time. You're just like bumping into people and there's stuff going on, and you want to play a board game, you want to go see the show or whatever. That part I really liked. Everything else about the cruise, I could sort of leave it or take it. And then there's a lot of things about the cruise that just feel like debauchery. Like there's a casino right by the main dining room and it just smells like smoke. And man, walking through a casino is such a weird feeling because there's so many people just staring at these machines, just pushing a button. The slot machines, I get it. It took me a long time to get it. I feel like I get it now, but I don't understand how people keep doing it, knowing like if you've played a slot machine, I don't understand why you wouldn't immediately go like, oh, I liked that a little too much and the expected value is negative, so I'm not going to do that again.
Drugs
like there are people who go and that's just a recreational thing that they do, and I don't understand.
Same thing as drugs and alcohol. Like it's
how is that legal? How is that okay? Alcohol also. Oh my gosh. There were something like a dozen bars on this ship all over. There's one by the pool, and there's one that rises up from the shopping area of the ship to up to the top of the area of the ship, and there's just every corner of it. It was interesting. Every day there was a organized AA meeting that they called Friends of Bill something. It was coded. It didn't it didn't say it was an AA meeting, but my gosh, if you struggle with alcohol abuse, a cruise ship is not the place for you. That is not somewhere where you that's not a healthy place for you. So like the drinking, no thank you. The gambling, no thank you. The shows were kind of cool. It was cool just like having free entertainment that you could go to. I love just being able to like walk into a restaurant and just eat whatever I want and then just leave. That was really cool. And then having meals with family and doing that stuff. That was also really fun.
Yeah. I've had similar. I've never been on a cruise. I probably won't be because my wife absolutely hates boats. Like she gets seasick like really quickly. Okay. And so, but we've had a similar experience where when we all went to, we've done this a couple times with her family. Her family has like timeshare things. And so we've gone for Christmas to Colorado once and to California once. And that's similar because you all have rooms near each other and you all like do things together and stuff. So that's kind of cool. It's not like an everyday thing, right? It's a vacation, just like you had. But yeah, it's a nice change of pace. So that's good. The food thing can be a solved problem if you want to pay enough money. The trick is solving it without a private chef. You know, that is the trick. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't mind cooking. I like cooking. I think it's the like meal planning. Like if I just walk into the kitchen and the ingredients are just there, something like a Green Chef or a pre-prepared thing. But even those I feel like are too expensive. Here's what I want. Yeah. I want to pick the diet I'm going to follow. And then I want a menu of recipes, and I want to just click the recipes I want. And then I want the ingredients for those recipes to be ordered for me through a grocery delivery service. So I'm just paying the base cost for the food and whatever the $10 delivery fee. And then the service is not in charge of delivering me the food. I get that through the grocery store. The service just sends me the recipe. And then for that service, I would pay something like, I don't know, $10, $20 a month. That's what I want.
Interesting. I was going to say, either end of that spectrum exists. There are places that you type in your diet and they will give you a menu, but you have to buy the ingredients yourself. Yep. And then there's places like HelloFresh who will give you the ingredients, but they're expensive. It's almost as expensive as going out, which we've actually been doing that recently for 2 meals a week, and it feels better than going out. It also exposes our kids to more foods, so that's how we're justifying paying for the price. And it's not quite as expensive as going out. It's like a little cheaper, but it's like $9 a portion or something like that, $10 a portion.
Yeah, that's about right.
And going out is like $11 a portion. So it's like almost the same.
And you don't have to do dishes either.
Right. But it's also healthier. Like there's less salt, and you get to decide like how much sauce goes on your food and stuff.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know of a service that does that, but
do grocery delivery places have APIs? I think I looked into this one time and there was a way to do it, but it was weird.
Maybe.
I would think Whole Foods would, because that's through Amazon, and Amazon's all about APIs. I feel like this is it. Oh, it's another distraction, Chris.
You can also you have an executive assistant, right?
I do.
I bet she could take a list and order things for you in under an hour.
Sure. That's very interesting. Yeah, that's my prototype of this. Yeah, okay. So I ordered a recipe book from I think it's called Primal Kitchen. It's of all the different diets like paleo and keto and everything else. I think I like the Primal Kitchen stuff the best. It's sort of keto, or it's sort of paleo, but with kind of a keto bent, and I don't know. His philosophy on health and nutrition just jives with mine. So I have the cookbook from him. So that's arriving in the next few days. So I think what I want to do is just like page through that as if it's a menu, and then send a picture of it to Rachel, and then hook her up with my grocery delivering whatever on Whole Foods or Amazon or Tom Thumb or something. Yep. And I don't want her to order things that I need that I already have.
Yeah, you should probably say like, don't order salt and oil and whatever. Like
right. And I'm just dealing with. I'm just talking to a person, right? So
yeah, she could just text you if she has a question.
She could just text me, or you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to load up my virtual cart with everything that I might need, and then I just want to go through real quick and say, oh, olive oil, I already have that. Salt, I already have that. Don't need that. Yeah, that's exactly what I want to do.
It'd probably take her 15 minutes, 10 minutes per recipe, maybe.
For sure. Oh man, I like that a lot. Yeah, I think that's okay. That's the next attempted solution to this problem. Cool. Thank you.
Cool.
I have one more tiny thing to talk about, which is, are you familiar with the author David Foster Wallace?
I've heard that name, but I have no idea.
He's a very emotionally sensitive, anxious, neurotic author. He has a whole bunch of really interesting writings on television. He was prolific sort of in like the mid to late 90s. talking about how bad TV is for you and how it creates this sense of voyeurism, and like, oh man, I would love to get his perspective on the internet, but he killed himself, like most interesting authors do. Yeah,
sure.
But one of his short essays is about him going on a cruise ship and his experience there. And it's just so interesting hearing this person's, like, he's so observant and so good at pointing to this, you know, taking this sort of abstract feeling he's feeling and distilling it down to like, ooh, it's this is the thing. And then all of a sudden I think, oh my gosh, I felt that feeling my whole life, and yes, now I have this label to attach to it. One of those is a word he coined called boviscopophobia, which he defines as the fear of being perceived as a cow. And he feels it in these sort of situations like lining up to the buffet or being in this mass of people going out on this cruise ship port and being seen by the natives as just this collective mass of Americans, like, yeah, like just off to stupidly buy things they don't need and like be kind of rude. And there were it became sort of a meme in our group because I'd read it and I'd given it to my cousin too. I thought we were interested in it, so both of us were aware of this term boviscopophobia. And then several different moments in the ship of, like, you know, we're lining up for customs or something, we'd just turn to each other and be like, boviscopophobia, right? They're like, yeah. I tried at first mooing to be like as a signal of like, I feel like a cow right now, but then I realized it may be misconstrued by some of the other passengers who may be self-conscious about their weight. So I stopped mooing in those situations. If you were a passenger on the oh my gosh, what was the ship name? Tranquility of the Seas. I don't remember. Huge, gigantic ship. If you were a passenger and you heard me mooing, I was not mooing at you to make fun of you. I was moving to try to.
I was moving with you.
Yes. I was moving. I was moving with you as a fellow cow.
Oh man.
Chris, that's all I got.
I was just gonna say, I happen to be watching several like Netflix comedy specials recently, and both Jim Gaffigan and John Mulaney both have jokes about this, where they're like, not exactly that, but I think John Mulaney's is something like, if you're at a table and you're like, who wants fries for the table? Should we get some fries for the table? You want fries, right? It's like getting people in so that you don't feel so bad about ordering extra food.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a similar thing.
It's funny.
That's all I got to.
Then I'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.